Well, good day and welcome to you. It is Monday, May the 16th. I hope you're having a wonderful day wherever you happen to be. My name is Gary Willing, and as always, I want to welcome you to Search for Signs. And just quickly point out, if you want to know more about this information, definitely check out some of the websites that I provided in the description portion of these videos. You get a lot of really good background information about that. Now, let's get on into what I wanted to talk about in this video. A person named KVTV commented a few days ago about a video I put up entitled, "Is the Democratic Party the Party of Evil and the Republicans the Party of Jesus?" That was the title of the video I put up. This person wrote, "Actually the opposite. Republicans are evil and batshit insane." Well, thanks for the laugh there, KVTV. So I'm going to love your comment just because you made me laugh. I appreciate that. I needed a good laugh today. Now, I'll just say this before I get going. Okay, so for those who care to know how I vote, it is true to say that I vote more progressive than conservative. That would be a very accurate assessment of the way that I vote. But I have voted Republican before in the past. On some major elections, actually, too. So not just the local elections that don't really mean much. You know, I'm talking about, I have done it before. Now, they were more of a centrist Republican for sure. And the Democratic candidate didn't have any kind of political platform, and they were just throwing dirt at the other person. So I figured at least the other person has something to say. So I voted for him. And, you know, we're still here. So it wasn't like the world crumbled because I voted for a Republican governor in Georgia. You know what I mean? It didn't matter either way. They were going to win anyway. But, you know, but yeah, I've done that before. But party to party, you know, the Democratic Party on the left, the Republican Party on the right, I consider both parties equally corrupt, equally ineffective, equally entrenched in their own ideology, equally elitist, and equally not the slightest bit concerned about their own constituents, even when their own re-election is on the line. That's the way I see it. You know, they don't care about us. They only care about staying in power, really. Now, I will say this about the Republican Party. They are guilty of hijacking Christianity and patriotism for sure, to the point where now, if you don't agree with what they have to say, see how they see life, vote Republican, then you are either un-American, unchristian, or both. And now they're even taking it a step further and saying that if you don't vote the way that they vote, well, then you're evil. You're satanic even. Woo. So they've taken it a step further for sure. And they also, I think, are moving much more effectively and much quicker toward becoming a fascist state with them on top, a Christian authoritarianism or theocracy and authoritarianism for sure. But there are elements of fascism on both sides. I do think the left are trying to play catch up as much as possible, but I don't think they'll be able to catch up because they've been laying the groundwork for this for a long time and are way ahead of the curve about creating fascism in the United States than the left will be able to do, to be honest. And that's the scary part of it. Now, the hopeful part of it is that I think this is all a part of the process of people in the United States waking up to what has been going on. The corruption, the ineffectiveness of government, and those kind of things. Because the political system is an important system that's in place right now that needs to change. Just as the economic, just as the religious, just as the social and the educational and the other structures too need to change because they are based on the past. Now the masters will tell you that everything in life is energy. Us individually to the systems that we have in place to the buildings that we live in and work in are all built on energy. Eventually we'll start to see life more and more like that, but right now we don't really see life like that. We just think it's the physical environment, it's that kind of thing, and then there's us. You know, that's kind of the way we see life. But we're ignorant of the fact that everything is energy. Now, they will say that the structures that we have put in place to, and I'm putting this in quotation marks, support humanity, like the political, economic, social structures, religious structures even, were based on the past. And those energies of the past were about a strong, potent individuality, to keep it really simple and not go too much into it, which has led to the world that we live in today, which is very corrupt, very divided. But the systems that were put in place were designed to keep the elitist in power at the expense of the subjugated masses. Doesn't matter what you're talking about, politics, economics, even religious. That's what they were. That's the purpose of why they were there. The energy that built that, the energies over the last 2,000 years of Pisces, are receding, and therefore those structures have no energy and life anymore, and don't meet the needs of the people that the way that they did even just 200 years ago, and that's why they're crumbling. But if you look at it here in the United States, and how the economic system and the political system are collapsing in on itself, but economically, just 12, 13 years ago, when the stock market collapsed the last time, it took just under $1 trillion to help resolve that problem, and I'm putting that in quotation marks too, and prop it back up. This last go around, it took over $2 trillion or $4 trillion to do. What's it going to be like 5 or 10 years from now if we keep on the same path? Is it going to be $10, $20 trillion that we have to throw at a problem to keep the elitist on top? You know, and yet the people still suffer. The people's lives are not getting any better by the throwing of this money into the system. It's just a way to try to keep it in place as long as they possibly can to maybe get reelected again to stay in power. But it's just crumbling and crumbling and crumbling and crumbling. That's the problem. You see? So, but politically, in this country, I don't think we've ever been this divided. Even probably perhaps right before the Civil War, one could make the argument that we were more divided, but I think we're about equally divided. If it's not worse today, it's at least as bad as it was right before the Civil War. But there's a reason why. And it has to do also energetically with what's been going on in the world. And it has to do with the sword of cleavage, which was predicted in the Bible by Jesus. I come not to bring peace, but to bring a sword. So we're seeing these divisions everywhere because the energy of love that's being sent out into the world in tremendous potency today is creating these divisions, these temporary divisions. It's very painful to go through it, but there's a reason why. But it's making us all really who we are. And so if you're conservative, you're more conservative. If you're liberal, you're more liberal. If you're greedy, you're even greedier than you would be if it wasn't for this energy. If you're selfless, you're even more selfless. So it's helping to bring out exactly who we are. And that's what we're seeing. And we're seeing it within our world leaders. We're seeing it within ourselves. We're seeing it within people in our lives and so forth. So, but if you want to know kind of how the masters see the political environment in the United States, you don't have to go back very far. You can actually just listen to a video that Benjamin Creme put up when he was giving these lectures. You know, it's on Share International website. But he talks about how the masters see the political situation in the United States. He said that the Republicans were way better at cheating at elections. We're moving toward fascism. And it was going to be very dangerous for the United States if we continue to follow them in that way. But how the rights of the people that we even hold dear in this country are being stripped away at an alarming rate. Now, the other thing that I find totally batshit insane, to quote my good friend KVTV, is the Republicans are very good at stripping away the rights of the people and then blaming the Democrats for it. You know, bailing out these corporations, it didn't work out, dumping it on the Democrats. Becoming more authoritarian by the day and blaming the Democrats for doing that thing and accusing them of doing that. Lying to the American people and then accusing the Democrats of doing it. And the Democrats don't seem to have an answer to it. They just keep taking it on the chin every single time they do it. And that's the thing that's frustrating to me as somebody who is seeing the political environment is like, dude, just stand up for yourself at least once. You know, I get it. sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof, but sooner or later you're going to have to stand up and stand up for yourself at some point, I think. But anyway, that's where we're at, I think. But looking at democracy even, as much as I love saying I live in a democratic country, which I don't think we necessarily do, but I love to at least think that we do, democracy was based on the past, which is competition, greed, corruption. It's brought it all out in the people, and it's not serving the needs of the people, is it? So therefore, it must go at some point. I don't think that a dictatorship is the answer either. So I don't know exactly what is in store for the United States in that regard, but democracy is not working. So the Democrats accuse the Republicans of ending democracy, but I think democracy is ending on its own. You know what I'm saying? I do think the Democrats are helping to speed up the process for sure, but I mean, I hate to laugh. You can either cry or laugh, right? But yeah, that's what I see but I also see that it's important, if you're concerned about the world, to use your voice within politics to help change the process. But I don't think it's in the United States for sure. I don't think things are going to change for the better until we are starting to be inspired by Maitreya. But it's all going to start with the principle of sharing. Once the principle of sharing starts to take place and take hold, even in the United States, it will start to change things. But up until that point, it's just we're going to see more and more and more of the same until we learn our lesson, I guess. But anyway, thanks for the comment, KBTV. It definitely got me thinking. You guys
Remember
take care.
to take action and help SOP save our planet. Thanks for listening, and we look forward to talking to you again in future videos.